Well, Wild Space was a pile of anal leakage. What about No Prisoners? We're off to a good start. Karen Traviss wrote it. People like Karen Traviss. She actually cares about the Clone Wars. In fact, she established a lot of canon in the Clone Wars. And she wrote the movie novelization for this series. So, what's No Prisoners about? Well, I'm glad you asked. No Prisoners is about Rex and Ahsoka and new clones, because they've ran out of clones since the Battle of Christosis. This is not long after Wild Space. So, Rex is training some new recruits, and he goes to Pellion's ship. That's right, Pellion. Captain Pellion from the Thrawn trilogy's in this. Meanwhile, Pellion's secret girlfriend, who's a secret agent, is on planet Afghanistan. It's not planet Afghanistan, but it feels like a Middle East thing, because this is one of the most war in Iraq stories I've ever read in Star Wars, but we'll get into that. And she's captured by the enemy and sends a distress signal that's picked up by Pellion and Jedi Master Altus. Now, who's Altus? Well, he's Callistia's master. That's right. Callistia from Children of the Jedi is in this, before she loses her body in the Eye of Palpatine. But we're not going to get into that yet. So, they team up. Altus's group of rogue renegade Jedi, along with Ahsoka and Captain Rex and his clones, have a desperate mission where they rescue Pellion's girlfriend. And it's a pretty good book. There are certain things that are brought up in this that I think Karen Traviss does well and not so preachy compared to her Republic Commando books. First of all, this book is to establish Callistia and her Jedi sect and how they don't agree with Yoda, which people for years thought this was a contradiction in the Callistia trilogy of books, because Callistia doesn't act like the Jedi of the Clone Wars. And so they explained that they're a rogue group of Jedi that aren't involved in the Clone War particularly. They just do it to help people out. They're helping people in like the wild space and like all over the galaxy. They're doing Jedi things that aren't being Jedi generals, which is interesting. This book is to establish what's to come in the Republic Commando series, because these Jedi will pop up again in that. It's also to establish Pellion before the Empire happens, because Pellion's a very different character in this than he is in the Thrawn trilogy. He's more upbeat. He's not beaten down so much. It's also lots of things are brought up, like EU-wise in this. For instance, Anakin is in this briefly, and he and Padme are talking, and he brings up that Ki-Adi-Mundi has a couple wives, because his species, they only breed once in a lifetime. Well, that was established in the Star Wars Dark Horse comic series at the beginning. That's the first arc. Prelude to Rebellion is basically referenced in this. That's really cool. There's a lot of cool things in here. We get to see the world through Captain Rex's eyes. Captain Rex is one of the big protagonists in this book, he and Pellion, and we get their perspective on things. This is the only story in general I can think of where Rex is the main character. Ahsoka's kind of annoying. We also get that transition from Ahsoka dressing in barely any clothing to her dressing in more clothing, I think is implied that that's happening in this story. She has to wear, like, a onesie fatigue thing in this because Pellion's like, it's not proper to be practically naked on my ship. which is a fun little jab at Filoni there, because we all know that Filoni and Karen Traviss don't get along. This is also one of her last books, which, you know, it's kind of sad. But a lot of things are established in this. I like it. It's very post 9/11, though, in certain regards. It's very much the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And the tactics used are similar to the U.S. tactics in that war. So, there's that. Overall, I give this a 4 out of 5. This, out of all of these Clone Wars novels, you should check it out. So, anyway, have a nice day.